and welcome to Success Unlocked. This is special because we have one of our previous clients on with us, but also Olivia actually used to work here as well. And so, listen, she can spill the tea. There's been no prep. There's been no nothing. So she knows she can say whatever she wants, as we do on this podcast. And as we do here at AYG, it's just all open, honest truth, isn't it? And
sure
nothing hasn't changed, Olivia, has it?
No, it hasn't.
So, Olivia, why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself, what you're doing now, what you've been up to, and then we'll take the time machine back to when we first started together.
Yes, of course. So, hi, I'm Olivia, and thank you so much for having me, Adrienne. It's such a pleasure to be back, and I'm so excited for this conversation with you. But yeah, I did my bachelor's degree at York University. I studied global health with a specialization in health promotion and disease prevention. And then after finishing my bachelor's, I found myself very interested in health law. And at that point, I reached out to Adrienne as someone that I idolized, and asked her for tips and, how I can apply to law school and move forward. And I ended up joining Apply Yourself as a client, and I was in weekly meetings, and I did the Mastering Academic Applications program. And then eventually I ended up being brought on to the law firm and working at Apply Yourself as well, which is an amazing experience. And then I sort of shifted my focus from law and decided to pursue a master's degree instead. I realized I also really wanted to study in Europe. Luckily, I have my Polish passport, so it was very, very easy for me to go to Europe. And I got into Karolinska Institutet in Sweden, in Stockholm, where I did my Master of Medical Science in Health Economics. And I just submitted my thesis last week, and then I will be defending at the end of the month. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm preparing for that.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I remember when I had just submitted and you're just like, okay, the hard work is done.
Yes, I actually cried hysterically after I hit that submit button because it was just such a feeling of relief to finally just be done with the work. Granted, we're not completely done yet because we are submitting for publication as well. So the work continues.
Good. Yeah. But now it's a matter of little tweaks, small revisions.
Yes.
And now you get to talk about it in the defense.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, so exciting. So exciting. And so, yes, you have been there. It was a 2-year program.
Mm-hmm.
And so what year was it that you got in? Was it you went there in 2024, I think, right?
2024, yeah.
2024. And when you were deciding to go to Karolinska, you'd received a total of 10 offers.
Yes.
Which was unbelievable. So take me back let's go all the way back, all the way back to when you first decided to reach out. What was it? If you can think back to that version of yourself, right? You're a different version now.
Yeah.
Right? Think back to that version of yourself and take me back to what she was thinking, how she felt.
Oh my gosh. Nervous, very, very nervous. I felt like I didn't have a clear path as far as what I wanted. And I know we like to talk a lot about scarcity mindset here. And I would say I was definitely operating out of a scarcity mindset. And if I had continued to operate within that mindset, I don't think I ever would have applied because the story I was telling myself was, that I wasn't an ideal candidate. Maybe I didn't have the right experience. Everyone is so much smarter than me. Maybe I'm not the typical applicant for a program like health economics. And why would a top European medical university pick someone like me? But I guess I sort of stopped measuring myself against the ideal candidate and started building the strongest version of my own case. And then I ended up getting into this wonderful university and I had the best experience of my life. And it was so much easier having that support and getting out of that mindset of, I'm not who they're looking for. I'm not the ideal candidate, and just, advocating for myself and why I deserve to be there.
Yeah. And I remember that like we had met with your parents. They wanted to learn more about it. So at the time, what was the conversation like with them around this? Because this, I mean, not just applying and joining the program, but thinking about moving. I mean, this was all these are big decisions.
Yeah. I think it was very scary. My parents were supportive of me going to Europe. I think the way education works there is very different from North America. The lifestyle is very different, and they really wanted me to have that experience. Of course, it's the stress of being so far away from my family, and it's having to support myself financially while I was there. But I think we chose to look at it very positively as a really, really cool experience to get to have. How many people get to move to Europe and live there for 2 years? And now I have friends from all over the world. I got to live in a different country. It was honestly so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so what do you think was some of the work that you did here that you took with you there?
Oh gosh, there's so much. I think, I think I can relate this also, not just the work that I did myself, but also in the way that the Swedish education system operates and how it's so different from North America. One thing that I really noticed was the mindset shift. And like I mentioned, the scarcity mindset, the competition, it doesn't exist there. So our classes, for example, they're pass fail. So I don't feel like I'm competing with the other students in my program. I'm not competing with them for supervisor attention. We're not competing for the best grades. We're all peers and we all support each other. And I really learned, just that, to not feel like I was competing with the other people around me. The friends I made in that program, I really felt like, we were holding each other up. I didn't feel upset if they got a better opportunity than me or their work was better than mine. I was so excited for them, and it made me motivated. It made me want to work harder and push myself because I wanted to keep up as well. Yeah, it's just entirely different, as well as, I don't think that Sweden in general, they're not focused so much on just like exhausting you with work. I think in North America in general, they, I guess they associate rigor with, working harder or being more serious. But, in Sweden, you can be very serious about the program and still go home at 5 o'clock. And that was a really great lesson for me. So,
Yeah.
it really helped me to know, how to schedule my time properly. We used to talk about like flex scheduling, for example, which is also very, very helpful with my thesis, because that's a period of a few months. You need to know how to schedule properly for that. But, all of these things were things that I experienced in an entirely different educational system. And also it supported me in just getting through this degree in general.
Yeah. And so that's amazing. And I've always known that there's an alignment between, the work that we do here and the approaches elsewhere, internationally.
Yeah.
And the fact that this work here in North America is quite, and it continues to be revolutionary because people don't think this way here.
It's true.
And people, even elsewhere in the world, don't think this way. Even, as you move up into organizations and companies, people don't think the way that we do here at AYG with the Mindset Peak Performance work. And the scheduling and the everything that you've just raised. It's great to hear, because so many times I think people will question, what's the, is this even going to benefit me later? Like, okay, so I'll get in. Okay, I'll get in. Then what?
Yeah.
So Olivia, could you tell them, okay, you got in, you're at the
Yes.
end of your program now. And if you looked back at, yourself or the other members in our coaching calls at the same time as you, what would you tell them is the, and then what?
Well, one thing that I think about often, and I think was the biggest takeaway for me, was that if you can believe it, you can achieve it. Right. And I say this all the time, and it's probably the number one piece of advice that I give people. And so, and then what? I finished the program, and now I can achieve whatever I want to. I have these wonderful skills to help propel me professionally. I know that if I have a goal and I want to reach it, I can achieve it. It's not as simple as just, I have this thought in my mind and I'm just going to sit here and it's going to fall into my lap. But I understand how to do the hard work to get to where I want to be. So, it's things like, for example, when I was writing my thesis, or when I was picking my thesis topic, my supervisor propositioned another research project for me. So another project that I can work on top of my thesis. And a lot of students would probably look at that and think, oh my God, that's so much work. I don't know if I can handle that. But, this bonus research project, that's an opportunity. That's how I get towards the career that I want, right? Is accepting these opportunities, not just, stressing because it's too much work. And I guess that's what it's all about, is learning how to take the opportunities that you're given, learning how to chase the goals that you want, knowing how to, to write applications that are aligned with who you are, making yourself the best candidate, knowing how to have conversations with other professionals and learn from other people, and all of those things in order to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, and it's nice to hear all of this from you, because I remember where you were. And then there was a period that you were in school and everything, and we didn't chat for a while. And then you reached out, like, I want to tell you what's going on. Like, I need to update you. So we met, and I was like, no, wait, save this for the podcast. I want to hear about it all. So I'm really happy that we did that, because I think that this is such a nice opportunity to just reflect on your own growth, your own accomplishments, your own trust in yourself, your own decision making, your own like what would I say? Like stability in yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so how do you think you've grown in that way from a couple of years ago?
Oh my gosh. It's still a work in progress, but I feel a lot more confident in myself in general. Like I mentioned at the beginning, when I first got to Karolinska, they really beat into our head what a prestigious, institution this is. This is the institution that awards the Nobel Prize in medicine and physiology every year. They only accept so many applicants. And when I was getting this speech, all I could think of was, why me? Like, why did you pick me? How am I the ideal candidate to be here? But it was really interesting because, everyone in my cohort actually had very, very different experiences. And you could see that they picked people based on who they thought could meaningfully contribute to the program based on those experiences. And that made me feel so much more confident in who I am. And now I just feel so much more confident in what I can accomplish and where I'm going next. And I feel so not just confident, but competent,
Yeah. You've been able to actually be on the ground creating in the way that is meaningful to you, that the school obviously agreed with and supported.
Yeah.
So moving into your experience moving, do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. What was moving like for you? Because you knew you were going to a
Mhm.
program.
Mhm.
You knew where it was going to be. You knew, okay, I've gotten in. Now, what is this experience going to be?
Yeah, it was it was scary, but it was really, really exciting. Like I can't even you're concerned about finding a place to live and the cost of living and am I going to have friends and what am I going to do every day and how much is the workload going to be? But I was so excited about the experience that I honestly didn't think about it that much. So I got there and I Sweden is it's just so different. The winters are cold and dark and the people are very reserved and it's very quiet everywhere. But I it was just so exciting to get to experience a different way of life. You have of course, the stress of the bureaucracy and having to get your personal number in Sweden so that you can do pretty much anything and open a Swedish bank account. But it, I got there and I felt like everything just kind of felt together. I went to my very first class and I immediately made an amazing group of friends. And I had so much fun. Like, even though I was doing my master's and it was stressful and it was a lot of work, it was still just the time of my life. Like, it was the best 2 years of my life, honestly. And I guess I feel like I also learned so much more than I would have if I studied in Canada because again, the way that they teach is so different. KI, it really felt like it was about learning. It was rigorous, but it was more meaningful where, I mentioned I feel like Canada just kind of confuses basically suffering with being serious. um,
North
but
American.
yeah, exactly. So it's completely opposite of like the North American grind. Like initially, I was like, oh, everyone just leaves work at 5 o'clock and they don't keep working when they get home. And like our
Yeah.
teachers are very respectful of like our making sure we have free time and that we're not working on the weekends. But I realize, people are getting just as much done. They're just not as exhausted as we are here.
Yeah.
So
And what an
it's,
amazing lesson for life
yeah, we can all learn from them for sure.
at a time when you're developing your foundations. Like this is your normal. This
Yep.
is your foundation.
Yeah.
And you got that in a really like intensive way. Like you were removed from your regular life and circumstances
Yeah.
and you were in this program in a different country
Hmm.
that was really this intensive, not just in your health economics, but in a different way of life, like a different way of being.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so, what do you think it is about that way of being that you'll take forward with you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like that's a tough one to answer because it also depends on where in the world I'm going to end up. I recognize that I love the Swedish lifestyle. I love the work-life balance that they have, and that's something that I would like to have as well. I don't know how realistic that is if I decided to be in North America. Um, but I know that that's something that I'm looking for. I don't want to have, a boss that's reaching out on my Saturday night and telling me I need to get this done right away, the way it happens in Canada quite often. Want to be able to I want to work to live, not live to work.
Yeah.
How we do
And you
here. Yeah.
and you can create that no matter where you are.
Absolutely.
It's about
Yeah.
the right opportunities, right? And it's
Absolutely.
about
Yeah.
the right people around you,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And what has this all taught you about how you set goals for yourself?
As far as setting goals for myself, I this is really interesting. I feel like I've had this program or sorry, this conversation many times with my friends at school, where, we're talking about what we're going to do after school, what our goals are, where we want to end up. And oftentimes I would have conversations with them and they'll be like, oh, well, this guy does this. I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm not smart enough to do that. I'm never going to be making that much money. And I'd have to tell them all the time, like, if you believe it, you can achieve it. If it's what you want, work for it. Put in the work. You can make it happen for yourself. Right. And that I would say I've already said it, but that's the biggest thing that I took away from being with Apply Yourself. I feel like the sky is the limit. There's absolutely nothing that I can't have if I want it. It's just a matter of knowing how to chase it and how to make it happen for yourself.
Totally. I think you've hit it on point. Like, that is it. It's that you can literally do anything. And also not suffer.
Yes. Not suffering.
And also move faster with the right strategy.
Yes, exactly. I'm not sure that I would have maybe had the same mindset that I have now, or maybe gotten to the place that I've gotten to without your help. Maybe I would have been in my program. Maybe I would have had the same mindset as my friends. I can't do that. I'm not smart enough. Or the mindset that I had before I applied. I'm not the ideal candidate. How am I going to get in? I don't have the right experience. It's not true. It's not true at all.
Yeah. And so we spent actually a lot of time together, not just with you as part of the community, but also you started then to work with us in person.
Yes.
And now almost our entire team is actually in person. We have our new offices. You've got to come in. You're in Toronto right now, right?
I am, yes.
You should come in.
I would love to, absolutely.
Yeah, come in. Okay, we're going to talk about it.
Okay, perfect.
We don't need to do scheduling right now. We can do that later. And so you were there behind the scenes, seeing, you were working at the firm. You were working at Apply Yourself too. What did you, just like broadly, what did you see behind the scenes at the time?
A lot of hard work. Definitely. Behind the scenes, I think it was really interesting to see the way you and Jonathan work, the way you're very efficient, the way you set your mind to something and you get it done. You schedule something and you make it happen. If you want to do something, you do it. So I think I took a lot from that. And I think it was very important for not only my personal, but my professional development as well.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And that was when we were smaller then.
Yes.
We were smaller then in 2020. I think you started in 2023.
Maybe even 2022.
Like
the end of 2022, maybe. Yeah.
2022. And we were just sort of building a lot of the foundations that right now are operating like full speed ahead.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about, I think that this is actually really interesting because when you're talking about, okay, behind the scenes, I saw hard work. I'm going to ask you what that means in just a second. But you also saw, okay, you put your mind to something and you operationalize it. You set a meeting and you make it happen. Take me into some experiences or memories that you have of that, because I think that a lot of people just see an end result and they're like, well, that was easy. They were lucky.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that wasn't the case at all. It was
share.
Yeah, it was. I feel like a lot of the time it was bouncing a lot of ideas off each other and you coming up with something and then figuring out how are we going to bring this into fruition. At this time, we were coming up with all of these different ideas. We wanted to create a new schedule. We were creating that. At that point, you were just bringing on like MCAT and LSAT coaches, and we were doing the interview process for that. And even at the firm, you wanted to grow the firm at the time and bringing on new lawyers. And it was just like, okay, we want to do this, let's do it. Okay, let's go start interviewing people. Okay, let's go and make this posting. Like, we want this to happen. Let's make it happen. We want to grow. Let's grow. So it was, we didn't sit and just ponder on things and, oh, I want to grow, but I can't do it right now. I want to do this, but, it's just not the right time. It was just very much, let's make this happen.
And so what do we think? What's a lesson in that for everybody?
Make it happen. Just do it. If you want it, start taking the steps. If you want to go to school, start doing the research, start writing your application. You want to make a career change, start doing your research, start reaching out to people in the field, start cold emailing, start making things happen. If you want them to happen, like, you are in control of your own destiny, right? Your things aren't just going to fall into your lap. You can keep making excuses for yourself for the rest of your life. But you're never going to get to where you want to be if you're always feeling sorry for yourself or you always have an excuse. You're only cheating yourself. So make it happen.
Yeah. And you were also there for some challenges.
Yes.
Right? We're very open here, right? So like when you're in person, this is there's no better experience than being in person together.
It's true. Yeah.
And so this is why our entire team is in person, with the exception, of course, of our coaches, which are who are all across North America because they're obviously at their own schools. When there was a challenge that came up, how did we deal with it?
It was great. And I think this has helped me a lot in my program as well, because challenges were never the end of the world. I think. And I have friends who are lawyers, and I hear about their experiences at their law firms where if there's a challenge or there's a setback, everyone's freaking out. Everyone's yelling at each other. There's anxiety, but we planned through it.
Oh, that's good.
I really learned how to, the pressure is never gone. When I'm in school, there's constant pressure, but it was learning how to function through it. Learning how to just take a step back, take a breath, and plan, okay, what are we going to do next? So, I had a huge challenge. My thesis, 2 weeks before it was due, my supervisor scheduled a call with me, and she said, we need to make a really big change in your model. And she's like, I know you have your rough draft written, so you can submit it as is if you want, or and then we can just, make the changes for publication, or you can go through with making the changes now. And I obviously was panicking, but I was thinking about, I'm putting my name on this piece of work. So 2 weeks before my thesis was due, I changed the code for my model. I reran all my sensitivity analysis. I rewrote my entire results section. I had to rewrite a ton of my discussion.
Grad school.
It was absolutely insane, but I didn't panic. I took a step back. I took a breath, and I just got to work. I started planning, how am I going to do this, blocking time for me to do specific things. And I got it done. And it was, it's rewarding.
Yeah. And I love what you said, because you just illustrated this. You planned through it.
Exactly.
It's not, you didn't say you pushed through it. You didn't say you're forced your way through it.
No.
You planned through it. And that's exactly it. And I think that it's interesting that, because of course I didn't know what you were going to say to any of this, right?
Yeah.
I just think it's so interesting, because looking back, I actually can see the way that we've always handled things has been that way. And it still is. I mean, there's always challenges, but they are by no means the end of the world.
Never. And I am so grateful that I was able to learn that lesson with you, because it helped me so much throughout this program, especially through that. Like, it was such a good feeling to, I guess this is a strange way to phrase it, but I was faced with this gigantic challenge and I didn't panic. I just knew, okay, what's the next step? Like, let's just get it done. Like, it's learning how to function through that pressure.
Yeah. In a way that then you're still creating.
Yeah, exactly.
right? You like, you could have functioned through it and been like, okay, no, I'm just going to submit it as is, and then I'll change it for publishing. That would
Yeah.
have been functioning.
Yeah, it would have been. And it's
That would have
probably
been
what a lot of people would have done. But
Yeah. But instead, you actually planned through it and you thought, okay, what is actually going to serve me and my time and my goals?
yeah.
I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it probably
exactly.
turned out for the better anyway, because you were able to actually feel confident. Like, imagine that you didn't have this sense of calm going into your defense. Like you, because now you know I did everything that I could. I followed every single suggestion, revision, and there is no criticism that they could have, which is exactly how I functioned and planned through my thesis and my dissertation as well. Because at the end of the day, the ideal is you defend and they say you pass with no revisions.
Yeah.
That's the ideal. And so my master's, I passed with no revisions. My dissertation, passed with no revisions.
Amazing.
So, after dissertation defenses, there are many, many, many candidates who pass with revision, so pass with conditions, and then they have to go back and rewrite a chapter. And then they have to get the committee to sign off on it again. It can be another 4 months. So you defend, but it's not even over.
Yeah.
But what you've also given yourself is finality.
Yes, exactly.
You know that they're not going to make any suggestions. If they make small ones, fine, but no big substantive changes.
Yeah.
And so when you defend, you're not going to have to worry about any of that. And how much longer is this going to take me? Oh my God, do I have to pay for another semester of tuition? There's none of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pass with no revisions. That is the goal. And so what can I do now to make sure that I am passing with no revisions? And then we do everything that we can. A dissertation of 500 plus pages, no revisions. Oh,
That's insane.
We could just go out for dinner. Yeah. And then the email after is basically, had a wonderful time. Love that we're done this. And here's the final draft where you literally have to make no revisions. You just keep the PDF as it is and you attach it and you send it and you're like, done.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So you plan through it. And this is something I always say now here is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So it's really funny hearing what your experience of us dealing with challenges was, because if I think back on other things, it's how I've always dealt with challenges, is planning through it.
Absolutely. And I mentioned the fact that my supervisor offered me an additional research project, which of course I took and I've been working on. And then this challenge of rewriting my thesis, if someone in both of those situations, I was offered something less demanding. I didn't have to take the additional research project. I didn't have to make those revisions. I could have submitted as is, but both of those times I chose to take the harder path. And that has made me so much more confident in myself and my abilities and what I'm able to achieve. And I feel like that confidence is, something that you only gain from doing hard things on purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Doing the things that other people don't like to do.
Yes, exactly.
Feeling the way that people generally don't like to feel, which is, okay, I still have to do this. I still. It's uncomfortable. I already did this. Resentful. All these things. It's so easy to default that way.
So easy. And I feel like that applies to just absolutely every single aspect of life. For fitness, for example. Oh, I don't want to push myself at the gym. I don't want to go work out today. Oh, I don't want to apply to all of these jobs. Oh, it's so hard to write a personalized cover letter for every single job. But you have to do the hard things. That's how you grow.
Yeah. Olivia, thank you so much for being here with me today. This was so much fun. And I can't wait for you to come in office. So you do have to let me know your schedule after this.
Yes, of course.
And if there's if there's one thing that you would leave our community with, our listeners with, what would that be?
You know what? I would say that, I guess this is a thank you to you in a way is that, you know, you kind of saw that I belonged in a program like this before I even saw it. And you helped me to apply as who I actually am, even if I didn't feel like I was the typical KI applicant. And, you know, it's changed everything for me. You know, because of you, I have gained all of these skills that have helped me so much throughout my program for my professional development. Like it's really changed everything. So thank you.
Oh my gosh. I feel like your welcome doesn't even cut how I feel. Like I'm so grateful for, you know, you sharing that and your thoughts and your really how you felt. I mean, it's just so meaningful. So thank you,
Thank
Olivia.
you.
And if anybody has any questions about anything that they've heard today, please feel free to reach out to us. You can email me, Adrienne at applyyourselfglobal.com, or on Instagram at applyyourselfglobal. And I have a feeling this is not the last time you'll be hearing from Olivia.
Hopefully not.
And I can't wait. I cannot wait to chat and hear more about what's next for you. So thank you for being here and taking the time today, Olivia.
Thank you very much for having me.